Hello and welcome to the Take the North podcast, along with Dan Wiederer of the Chicago Tribune. I'm Mark Grote of Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. Dan and I are broadcasting from Haugh, where we have just heard from a bunch of players and coaches and just about everything going down here. We talked to Matt Eberflus. We talked to Thomas Brown, who is the new offensive coordinator. We talked to Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, and we will try to add as much texture as possible, but it has happened. Obviously, you know by now, Shane Waldron fired as offensive coordinator. Thomas Brown is in. He took to the lectern today. And Dan, while, he seems to be a confident man, I don't know if I necessarily learned anything from Thomas Brown today in terms of what he's going to be all about, other than he's a different voice than his predecessor, who was just fired.
A different voice and a different personality, which we can expand on in a few minutes. I think there is something here to unpack in terms of the direction the Bears go in the short term. This is all about trying to get some sort of spike in confidence, some sort of spike in production, some sort of stability to kind of get yourself moving back in the right direction. Today was a busy afternoon. I mean, there's a 50-minute stretch out here at Haugh where you've got Thomas Brown and Caleb Williams speaking at the lectern. You've got guys in the locker room, including Cole Kmet and Coleman Shelton and Keenan Allen, and later DJ Moore and Mercedes Lewis speaking in the locker room. I'm still sifting through it all because there was a lot of stuff that we were able to gather and collect and try to figure out what to make of it. Ultimately, Mark, I think we're going to get our answer on Sunday afternoon in terms of whether this produces at least a very short-term spark, which this team needs worse than anything right now, is a little bit of a spark that pushes them in the right direction. We can kind of dig into a little bit more of what's there. But I think the three things that I wrote down kind of after going through my notes was that presence matters. We can get into that. Confidence matters. We can get into that. And details matter. We've been hearing that for weeks. I think that's my little sort of summary outline to kind of figure out where the Bears go from here with obviously a significant change at a odd time in the season. And now everybody's got to hit the ground and put their best foot forward.
Yeah, and Dan's right. I mean, we are doing this podcast right now by the seat of our pants, which is good because, I mean, Dan and I are in all of the rooms and you are getting fresh. And Dan and I haven't even talked to each other about anything that has happened today. So this is coming together as hastily as it possibly can. Dan, in trying to get answers from the players about where Shane Waldron went wrong and just generally their reactions. Like, it was weird to hear DJ Moore say he was shocked and kind of surprised that obviously they knew things were going well, but they didn't think that they would fire the offensive coordinator. You hear guys saying nice things for the most part, saying it just didn't work out. And we believe in Thomas Brown and hopefully he'll provide that spark. There was one player in that locker room today, and you were a big part of the Q&A with Keenan Allen, the Bears veteran wide receiver, who gave an answer as we start to put Shane Waldron behind us. He gave a great answer on why he is no longer here. Here's Keenan Allen.
Your sense for why it didn't click with Shane?
For me, I'd probably say just probably too nice of a guy. I think OTA's training camp, we kind of fell into a trap of
letting things go.
Yeah, letting things go, not holding people accountable, and obviously those things get into a little slippery slope.
So what types of things are you talking about?
Just being, kind of professionalism, just doing things the right way from the beginning.
So to that end, what does Thomas's presence mean to this offense? Different personality by a long shot.
Different personality. I think he's just more of a don't take bullshit type of guy, and won't accept it either. So see how it goes.
That matters.
Absolutely.
Well, all this does, Dan, and great stuff from you. All this does is corroborate what Mercedes Lewis was saying to us earlier after the Indianapolis game, that they want somebody to a coach that will hold guys accountable, that will show some authority in situations where you need authority when you have a rookie quarterback. So that's what this comes down to. That lines up exactly with the things we were hearing in week 4.
The mystery here is, what are the specifics of the things that were unprofessional? What are the specifics of things that weren't being tended to that needed to be? Who are the culprits? We haven't gotten any names over the last 6 weeks of things that have been inferred. but not really driven home with any sort of points. And so it leads you into a sort of Hardy Boys mindset of trying to figure out, what is this? Is this something where players are worried that the rookie quarterback isn't being held to the standard that he needs to be held to for a football team to go forward in the NFL? Is that part of the equation? Can't say yes, can't say no. I just think there's a lot here that has been going wrong. Obviously, they've scored 9 points the last 2 weeks. They've really struggled since the bye week, and they've got to get something unlocked here soon. And now the question is can Thomas Brown's presence make a difference? The thing that was consistent today from everyone we talked to inside the locker room was that it's a different energy. Cole Kmet said that. Mercedes Lewis said that. Mercedes, talked about how Thomas Brown is just a guy that if you're having a bad day and you just happen to bump into him in the hallway, it might change your day because there's just an enthusiasm, a charisma, a juice that guys respond to. That's important. When you contrast that to Shane Waldron, who was, in Keenan Allen's words, too nice of a guy, who was, by our judgment, a little bit anxious when he was in front of a room. There's a difference here. Now, does it matter? Yeah. How much of a difference does it make in the end results on a football field? Let's see. Let's see what happens against the Packers, against the Vikings, against the Lions. If all of a sudden you see that charisma translating into confidence, which then translates into production, well, then maybe we have something here. But there's definitely some things to monitor, I guess, in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think almost 100% of the time when there is an interim anything, whether it's the NFL, baseball, football, any sport, there's always going to be that boost. These answers were predictable, quite frankly, from the players. New energy, new charisma, all of that. There kind of has to be. You're not going to bring in another guy who has that same personality. So while I understand the players are saying the right thing, I have no idea, zero idea if Thomas Brown is going to be a good offensive coordinator in this league. I think the Bears, when they interviewed him, obviously they decided, and my guess is that you're close, but not quite enough experience, not the same experience that Shane Waldron has had. So we like you. We like you enough to keep you on the staff, but not quite the experience we want with a rookie quarterback and a veteran offensive room. So that's just something I want everybody to keep in mind, that while things seem cleaner here with personality, that doesn't really mean a whole heck of a lot. I want to play a couple more cuts here, Dan, because you brought it up about, paying, again, fourth or fifth time that we've talked about this, and paying attention to detail and who exactly are we talking about. I want to play DJ Moore because I tried to dig a little bit deeper into that question, because is it the quarterback? Is that who we're talking about? So let's hear from DJ Moore, and specifically, he was asked, and this is interesting in itself, he was asked, did the offense need change?
I don't know. We might have been more detailed in some positions. Our receiver group and others, but we just got to focus on ourselves and get it right.
You mentioned a few times when you've spoken to us needing to be more detailed in practice. You just mentioned maybe the wide receivers as well. Is that everybody? Is that the quarterback? Who specifically are we getting?
I think everybody. Everybody just got to look inward and just do a deep dive and really just learn the game plan for the week and just go from there. So there's no excuses at the end.
Does Caleb have full support in the locker room from the offense, even though he has had his own struggles as well?
Yeah, you got to have support from him no matter what. He's going out there busting his butt, trying to learn everything at once, and the defense is throwing a lot at him. So you can't really be mad at him. Just got to still back him. Whatever he's doing, he's going to get better at, and we were with him.
You have no choice to support Caleb Caleb Williams. I believe DJ Moore. I know he thinks a lot of this sucks because it's a developing quarterback, but he would have thought it sucked no matter who the rookie quarterback was.
There's no question. There's just some gray area here that they're going to have to surf through here in the near future. It's funny to give people a look behind the curtain today. I didn't realize that DJ Moore went to the official podium as he's done every Wednesday this week. I thought that kind of got moved because Thomas Brown was doing the coordinator talk a day ahead of time. So when DJ came back to the locker room, I got him at his locker for about 4 minutes, and I was wondering why nobody was interested in talking to DJ Moore. I'm like, why am I getting a one-on-one with DJ Moore? Seems like a significant voice in the room here. Little did I know that he had already spoken for 8 minutes back in the other direction. And I had kind of pressed him on if his relationship with Caleb was still strong. And then Caleb was walking in from the Tony Medlin corner of the locker room, and he said, "Caleb, are we still tighter than Moose Knuckles?" I had to look up Moose Knuckles afterwards, and have fun with that, guys, when you're on the Google machine a little bit later. And the two just laughed with one another. I don't know what it means, but what I've deduced, Grote, there's a long way of getting to my point that there seems to be a crisis of confidence with the quarterback right now. And I think there's a lot of people in the building trying to figure out how to solve it, how to get this quarterback from falling down the hole that Mitch Trubisky fell down in 2019, which I always defined as struggling with struggling. You start to have some struggles, and then your head just gets loaded with pressure and doubt and hesitance and all the things that we've seen play out on the field with the way Caleb's played the last couple of weeks. And so somehow, some way, this organization and this locker room and this coaching staff has to figure out how to unlock Caleb's confidence again, because it is one of his predominant strengths. But I think we can all draw the conclusion that it's shaken right now, and they've got to get it unshaken.
Yeah, and honestly, what was the terminology? Moose? Is it like the reindeer thing? Reindeer?
We just tight as Moose Knuckles. I'm not going to give it to our audience. They're going to go to the Google machine and have fun with that.
That's fair. Like, they've made that's, and I'm glad that those two get along and they're tight. We're not talking about what they get along like in the locker room. I mean, that's cool and it's neat and it's fun for us to talk about, but we're talking about on the field. And I think we can kind of look at it and say, well, they get along on the field. The chemistry is not there on the field, right, Dan? I mean, it's off.
There's no doubt. And that's what I mean, where like you hear these sentiments expressed from other players, and everybody's kind of being careful with how much they say and how they say it. But I get the sense that you're trying to prevent Caleb from falling down the trap of pressing, right? Like trying to do too much. And maybe he was trying to do too much against the Patriots last week instead of just taking the layups. You heard some talk today about how Thomas Brown at the minimum should be able to unlock some more easy completions, some more layups, some plays that get the offense in a rhythm and a flow. And then hopefully Caleb relaxes a little bit and then is able to be who he is. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to play quarterback in this league at any age. 22 years old as a rookie in a city like this with an expectation on the season is even more difficult. And Caleb's struggling with that. I don't know how much audio you have from him, but there's a conversation to be had about how this change disrupts his world, right? Like this is a disruption to Caleb Williams, and maybe we go there next.
Yeah. Here's what I got. A few things from Caleb Williams. I think let's start with Caleb on his what we were just talking about, on his chemistry with the wide receivers. Here's Caleb. You mentioned a couple times getting on a better page with the guys, which I assume it means players when you're talking about more practice and things like that. Do you feel like you have full support of those guys? Is there kind of a tug of war that goes on with you and maybe the veteran receivers in terms of exactly how you want things to be done on the field?
No, I think those guys are, good, easy. We talk about it. I think I got full support from them. I've gotten texts or calls or people coming up to me, with this situation that just happened, coming up to me and saying, we got your back. We're with you, things like that. And let's go. That kind of mindset and attitude has been what it's been this past couple of days, and that's kind of what it's only been.
Dan, what'd you think? I mean, I think that these guys have heard the rumblings of, that report from yesterday that there were veterans that were not supporting him. So that was the spirit of my question. And I think that Caleb is making it very clear that the vibe is good with, at least off the field, with his receivers.
Well, so that, there's numerous rumors, numerous rumblings about what all is happening inside Haugh Hall and whether there is a true disconnect between Caleb Williams and the teammates that he's playing with. What I would say to everyone inside this building is that the Bears used the number 1 overall pick on Caleb Williams. He's getting at least 3 years to prove who he is as an NFL quarterback. So you better figure it out, right? Like he's going to be the last guy that is kind of shoved aside and with the page flipped. And so you better find a way to coexist in a way that creates production on the field, and that's got to happen. It happens in different ways in different organizations with different quarterbacks with different locker rooms, but figure it out, right? Like that's the mission here, and you can't complain and you can't be trying to figure everything out every single day you're out here. Get it figured out once and then go to work and create results, because otherwise everybody's gone and everybody's unhappy and it's a full-fledged disaster, which I know you and I are not all that eager to chronicle. Like it would be nice to one of these years to be like, oh yeah, they fixed it.
Yeah.
They actually fixed it.
Right.
But this kind of leads to this other point where, look, the Bears made an intentional move in the spring to set Caleb up for success by limiting the voices that were going to be in his head from the coaching staff. They basically decided that it was going to be Shane Waldron and Kerry Joseph being the chief communicators in Caleb Williams' ear. Now you've removed Shane Waldron from the equation. And so now it's like, okay, we had two guys that were looking to be your primary voices in your head. One of them's gone. And now we're giving you another guy who we intentionally told for the last 6 months to not talk to you very much because we didn't want to cloud your head with too many different thoughts or too many different instructions. And so here we are on November 13th, and Caleb Williams is basically in a getting to know you process with Thomas Brown, who's going to be his play caller for the last 8 games of his rookie season.
Which brings me to another Caleb Williams cut, because I thought it was kind of hilarious, actually, when he was asked about, let's just let you guys hear it. This is Caleb Williams on Thomas Brown.
He seems like he's we haven't really talked much throughout this time, just because we haven't, been in the position to be having so many conversations. But, so far, I think he's pretty detailed. I think he, like Coach has talked about, tough. I think it's going to help us as a football team and things like that moving forward. And we're excited.
So he doesn't really know much about Thomas Brown at this point. I mean, they just don't. That's why I'm going easy too on the audio in terms of testimonials from players about Thomas Brown, because there's nothing other than he's got a great personality, he's got a lot of energy, and he's not Shane Waldron.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb may as well have said, from what I've heard, this is this is the passing game coordinator of the Chicago Bears since the spring, and so it's look, that's a disruption. Your starting quarterback is trying to get to know the guy that he's going to have the closest relationship with for the next 2 months. There's no question this is less than ideal, that it's suboptimal. Thomas Brown, this is suboptimal for. This is a guy who a year ago got basically flipped the roll of paper towels in Carolina and was told to clean up the mess. Well, now he's got to clean it up again here. And you're doing this twice as sort of an interim play caller for an offense that is not really entirely yours. It's something that you believe in, but it's kind of molded in someone else's vision. And then you've got to come in and kind of put your fingerprints on it and rejigger it a little bit to get results. And I mean, you talk about less than ideal. This is less than ideal, Grote. And so I think all of that feeling of unsettled tension that there was on Monday and Tuesday, it doesn't go away just because Thomas Brown gets up on Wednesday morning and leads a really good meeting in the offensive room, right? Like
exactly.
People are still feeling a certain way about this.
Oh yeah. I think you and I have both been around long enough to know that, this could provide some sort of spark just because they're human beings and this is what change does. But in terms of what he actually does, we'll see. And I would just say stand by as it pertains to him. I do want to bring up something about Matt Eberflus too. He was again asked the question, is Caleb Williams the starting quarterback? A definitive yes. I then followed up a little bit later on with so then that's it. Like he stays in throughout the good, the bad, the ugly, no matter what, because that's kind of what they said from the very beginning. He's the starter. There's not going to be competition. So one would assume, you're going to let him play through the growing pains. He did hinge just a little bit there, Matt Eberflus, saying that, that it's, he's not saying it's week to week for Caleb Williams, but he did not guarantee, to my question, that Caleb Williams will start every game. Obviously, injury is a different issue, but he left it a little bit open, Dan. I don't know if you felt that, if you inferred the same thing.
No doubt. Right. It was just, we're gonna look at this thing week to week. We're gonna look at it week to week and we're gonna figure it out from there. And it's a precarious place to be. By the way, how Bears is it, Mark, that they just cut the $30 million guard today, and it's like story 7.
Yeah, Yeah, Nate Davis is
You know
gone.
what I mean? It's like a year ago when Braxton Jones went on IR with a neck injury, and it was like, that was just a footnote. It was in the agate page of the old sports page, because you're just like, that was the 9th most important thing that happened out here. By the way, that's where we are, right? Like, and it's crazy that they constantly find themselves in these weeks where a major headline like that gets buried because there's so many other things going on that are more important.
Let's get real, you and I, here on Nate Davis really quickly. Then I'll get back. I got some great Cole Kmet that I want to play about.
I wish you had a full montage of audio of Nate Davis turning you down for interviews. It would be a great way to send it out.
The best one was, by the way,
was ping pong, right?
Oh yeah, and it was like he knew that I knew it was BS because he looks at me, smiles, puts his hand on my shoulder, and says, "I'm sorry, man." And he's smiling and he's very peaceful. I got to go play ping pong, and he knew exactly what he was doing. And at that point, I knew we would never talk to him as a collective media again. But he didn't have a back injury, did he?
$30 million, played, I think, 13 starts. And then on the weekend, where you needed offensive line depth more than anything in the world, after a week where he practiced in full, suddenly he's got a back issue, right? Like bad mattress over there at the Marriott Marquis, wasn't able to get up. Oh, my back. So bad that they had to send him home, and so bad that when they sent him home, they told him never to come back, right? Like it was Chase Claypool shades all over again.
Totally.
Of like, yeah, we're just going to send you home. And by the way, when you go there, don't ever think about coming back to where you work again, because that's it.
And he's like, good.
Brody, I had multiple calls on Tuesday referring to Nate Davis as one of the worst teammates you'll ever have. And just in terms of you understand what this league is. You need people all in. You need people to sacrifice and give you everything they have if this thing's going to work. He never really wanted to do it. The sad part about it is there was a reputation of this from Tennessee, and the Bears had warnings that buyer beware. This is the fine print of what you're signing up for. They went in on it anyway, and then they obviously did not get the results they wanted, and now you've got to cut your losses on that, figure out a way to reboot and go forward with your offensive line still kind of shaken up, which, by the way, is part of the reason that your offenses look terrible and you've had to change coordinators and the quarterback's got no confidence.
Yeah, I'm looking, Dan, as you mentioned, the offensive line. I'm looking at the injury report out here on Wednesday.
Braxton and Darnell are back.
They are back, yes, and they were both in a limited capacity, but I'll take that. Both with the injuries, both were practicing. Karan Amagaji's still out. You're probably not going to see him play again this year, would be my guess. Tevin Jenkins, unfortunately, with his ankle injury, did not practice today, so we'll see how that portends for him. And I guess as long as we're doing injuries, Jaquan Brisker will not play again. He's got the concussion. I did have a quick conversation with him, Dan, and I asked him straight up. I said, "Is it possible that you could be out for the rest of the season?" And he said, "Oh, no, I'll be playing this year still." It doesn't mean he's going to be playing still. I mean, that's what he said today, but that doesn't mean that he is going to play. But he thinks he will again play this season.
Terrifying. It's just terrifying to me for him to be out as long as he has been out. Also, given the fact that he finished the football game on which he suffered the concussion that he has now missed. What is this, week 6, week 7? That he's missed. Like, man, I just hope Jaquan is okay long term, right? Like, 'cause that's it's a bad deal.
Yeah, I mean, and I kind of expressed that to him in not so many words today. Let's get back to the Bears locker room today, if we may, Dan. And
sure.
Have we covered Nate Davis? Have we given?
I felt like we needed it. I feel like we needed to at least acknowledge that, because it's just insane that was like the Monday morning or the Wednesday morning news drop, and then it was like, forget about it. We're bringing all these other people up to talk, and don't worry about that.
When do we mention Bears play the Packers? I mean, that is like
Thursday. That's our Thursday preview episode.
Okay. I'm really looking forward to that. Let's hear from Cole Kmet, though, as we get back to the support that exists or doesn't exist for Caleb Williams. This is Cole Kmet on his support, and then you will hear it turn into collective support or not here from Cole Kmet.
I mean, big time. I think from the get-go, everyone knows my thoughts on him and who I think he can be. In terms of, for him, I know it's been a tough couple of weeks and, not where he's wanted to be, I think, and offensively not where he wanted to be at. And, the main thing is trying to find solutions to help him out. As a rookie, like we all got to keep in mind. I know he's a number 1 overall pick, but he is a rookie, and there's a lot coming at him and a lot that he has to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And whatever we can do to help around him, we're all there for, and we want to find those solutions for him.
Do you think he has that same support from everybody on the offense that you have for him?
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, all of our conversations, and look, I saw some of the stuff about veterans asking for him to sit. All those conversations have been about trying to help him out wherever we can and finding solutions. And look, guys are frustrated, and I'm not shy from saying that. We're definitely frustrated where the offense has been, but all this has been guided to try and help him out and trying to get him rolling again. And we've seen what he can do when things get rolling, and we want to get him back to that point.
You're saying it didn't happen, that's what you said?
Asking for the no, that did not happen.
So when you hear that there's a couple players, veteran players, that want Bagent to start, then are you guys all just like, where did that come from? This is ridiculous?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think when things are kind of in turmoil and things aren't going well, things kind of pop up here and there, and it is what it is. I know the faith that we all have in Caleb, and look, we've seen it from day one, the talent that he has, and we know what he can be and what he's done in games. So we're all behind him, and we're just all about finding solutions to helping him out as best as we can.
I'm glad that Cole debunked it in that way, in a way that you could believe it. It doesn't mean that there wasn't an offhand comment that occurred, and from whom exactly it came from. I mean, something probably happened, but not to the extent that maybe we all made it out to be.
Right. Like debunked is probably not the right verb there, because Cole sort of gave some oxygen to it in that first comment where he said, look, any conversations that were had were all about trying to help Caleb out, and so I get the sense that, maybe it was a suggestion, like, would it help him if he sat for a couple of weeks and just reset and got going, and like, so we'll never know for sure how it was framed. I know Matt Eberflus said also with the Shane Waldron dismissal that he didn't take requests from players, but he took their input, and guys offered input that said, it's not like they said, hey, can you please fire Shane? But it was like, hey, we're really frustrated with the way things are going. And then you as a leader have to kind of sift through that and figure out where to go. As it relates to Caleb, I think there are some people that think he would benefit from sitting for a couple games. I'm not one of them. I think you have to learn how to go through this stuff a little bit, and hopefully get some answers from your new play caller, from your teammates, on how to make each drive just a little bit easier. And I think that's some of what's there. I had a short conversation with Coleman Shelton in the locker room today, and he said, look, like, I just keep going back to the Jaguars game because we have evidence that we can score 36 points in a football game. We can score 5 touchdowns in a football game. We've shown that that's within our reach. The belief that creates is good because we know it's in there, but now we just have to figure out how to unlock it more consistently. And Coleman seemed to be of the belief that confidence is going to be the biggest thing here to getting this thing rolling again, because what happens, Grote, you get a little dip in confidence, and then everybody starts trying too hard, and when you try too hard, the results usually aren't there, and then it just snowballs in the wrong direction.
I honestly, like, if it was the Bears' idea to, okay, we're just going to give him a game off and then he's going to start, like, theoretically, I don't have a problem with that, but
it's opening up a box of chaos.
It is not something that can be handled in this market, in this specifically with the Chicago Bears in this locker room and what we do. There's no way that would be a smooth transition. There are still too many people too who would jump on the Tyson Bagent bandwagon, and it would get ridiculous, and we would go through this whole thing that we kind of went through with Justin Fields. It would be, unfortunately, it would be a bad idea just because of public relations and media relations, quite frankly.
And we're just not far enough along in the season to even like kind of do it subtly. Right. The fact of the matter is there's ways you can handle that, to quell the noise, not in week 11, not with 8 games to go in the season, not with the Packers coming to town, not with all that's at stake for this football team. And so they will ride forward, and Caleb will have to try to find himself this week. Good luck, kid. Good luck finding yourself in this week. I've said a couple times, Caleb's 23rd birthday comes early next week. And so the last week of his 23rd year here has been certainly, is it 22nd year, 23rd year? 23rd year. Full. It's been a little bit tumultuous, and he's got to find a way to get across the finish line with a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, and if there's anybody who seems to have the presence of mind and the, again, bringing up the fact that he's 23, it would feel like Caleb Williams would, but he is a human being who is 23 years old. Last cut that I want to play here today, Dan, is one more from DJ Moore, because, again, it gives a little bit more closure or some specific understanding as to where things went wrong with Shane Waldron. The Keenan Allen stuff was the top notch here that we played a little bit earlier on Take the North. But DJ Moore was asked about Matt Eberflus talking about in-game communication being an issue when Waldron was here. Here's DJ.
I want to say probably like when we want to call, or it's probably like a drive too late, or like we wanted to make adjustments and we just wait till halftime to make it, and then we don't get the same look. So I can see what he mean by that right there.
Got to be able to think on the fly in the NFL. It's such an interesting point because everybody thinks, oh, yeah, just wait till you get to the locker room and make the adjustments. If you can't make adjustments on the fly in the NFL, that is troublesome, and that's what DJ Moore is saying right there.
Right, and it kind of goes back to Matt Eberflus sometimes coming across as indecisive and needing to think through things way too often, right? Like to get to a final resolution, as it was kind of the case with the Shane Waldron situation. And so then you apply that to a game day where everybody's got to be on their P's and Q's and reacting quickly and adjusting quickly and adapting quickly. You can get yourself into trouble really quickly if you're not equipped for that.
Well, folks, stay tuned. Like I said, Dan and I are still planted out here at Haugh as we speak. That is what we have for now, but plenty more from Take the North. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching on YouTube. We appreciate all of the support. We also appreciate all of the feedback. And for Dan Wiederer of the Chicago Tribune, for our executive producer, Adam Stadzinski, I am Mark Grote, and this is Take the North.
Good talk. See you out there.